Hey everyone, John here. Welcome back to another tutorial. I'm a big After Effects user. I've used it for many decades. But in this tutorial, we're going to focus on Vegas Pro and Continuum. This is something that I would normally create just in After Effects, but I was pretty surprised actually at how efficiently and effectively I could create this look just using Vegas Pro with Continuum. So let's take a look at how to build this step by step. Okay, so here inside of Vegas Pro, this is the finished look. And if you want to follow along with me, of course, you can just use Vegas Pro with an empty clean project, but you can also download this project file and you can take a look at exactly what I've set up here, because the version we create now may not look exactly the same, but I wanted to keep this version for you so you could break it down yourself. So what I'm going to do is actually just grab all of this and I'm just going to slide it along the timeline. Okay. And we're going to start from Title Studio. So what I'll do is make sure Media Generator is selected and just do a search for title. Grab Title Studio and drop it down here. And I'm going to drop it down on the second track. The bottom one's going to be a black solid. I'm going to launch the UI window to go into Title Studio and let's get this set up. So clicking on the text, I'm going to type in Resident Evil. And for the font, I'm going to choose Babas Neue. This one here, I think that looks pretty similar to the actual font that's used for the title. I'm just going to increase the size of that. Okay, I'll just make that 70. All right, so it's all looking pretty good there. I think I'm just going to leave that like that. I'm just going to move that up. And I want to animate this. So I'll click on Material Flat Texture, come up to Controls, and click on Type On. And I'm going to reveal this. And if I just click and drag text type on, you can see I can type that on. But I want to do this randomly. So I'm going to change the order from forward to random. Now if I just drag that value, I get that look. Okay, so I'll bring that down to 0. And just make sure I'm at 0 seconds. And I will choose linear. Linear is fine for this. And I'm going to come to about, I don't know, just after 1 second. And I'm going to change this to 100. And now, just pressing the space bar there, we've got that typing on. Now I want them to kind of fade on so I can adjust the fade. So see, setting that to 0, now they get a little fade before they appear. And that's what we're going to do. So next I'm going to duplicate that by right-clicking and choosing Duplicate Track. Make sure I can see it. Going to drag this one down. And for this one, we're going to use Japanese because the original name for Resident Evil was Biohazard. And I thought we could just use the Japanese characters for that. So I'm actually going to go to Wikipedia. You can do that too. Just go to the Resident Evil page and you can just grab the Japanese characters here and copy. And then I'm going to make sure I see my text, double click and paste. Okay. And I'm going to shrink this down. Make sure they're all selected. Just shrink that down to sort of fit in underneath that. Okay. So Resident Evil Biohazard. And because we've got the same animation, we duplicated it. It'll all type on at the same time. I think we could probably just move them both down a little bit. So I'll just grab both of these and just move them down. Something like that. And click Apply. All right, so here's what we have so far. Next, we're going to give this the grunge treatment by using BCC Grunge. So I'll do a search. Now I need to be in video effects for this. Search for grunge. And we'll grab BCC Grunge and drop it onto that text. Okay, so the default doesn't look too bad. I like that scratch metal look. But we're going to choose a different one. I'm going to choose for this VV Black and White Grunge 01. That's looking pretty good. It's a little bit dark on the left-hand side there, so we can adjust that under transformation by changing position XY, or we can just grab the little widget and just move that across. And we might be adjusting this a little bit more later. Okay, so that's looking a little better. I want another version of this text underneath with a different BCC Grunge that we're going to put displacement map on as well to create kind of a blood dripping style effect. So what I'll do is I will just copy that layer and I'm going to paste. Just going to drag that one and put that on top. So that's going to be the original. We're going to grab the one at the bottom, just going to solo that for a moment. And for this one, we're going to choose Colorful Peeling Rust 05. Okay. But I want to make it red. So I'll turn on color, twirl down color, and change that to a bright red. We don't really want pink, we want red. Okay. Nice. So that's going to sit beneath the other one. Now, in order to give this the sort of drippy blood style look, we're going to use BCC plus Displacement Map. So I'll do a search for that. Just typing in displacement, just turn off caps lock. Make sure we can see. There we go, BCC plus Displacement Map. Drag that on. And you can already see it's getting some displacement happening. So let's click on Browse Maps. And we've got a range of different maps that we can choose from to displace this. I definitely suggest, just clicking on different things and seeing what kind of looks you can come up with for this. There's so many of these that actually suit this kind of, horror movie style. Creepy trees, all kinds of stuff. But I've actually chosen a favorite. I'm just going to view favorites, and I'm going to use this one here, Fossil, okay? You can see how that's giving kind of a sort of melted look. And if we come over and adjust the displacement value, see how it gets that sort of melting look? Really nice. So I don't want it to move off to the side, and I can make some adjustments right in here in the FX editor. So I'm actually going to make horizontal displacement 0, like that. And notice when I change the displacement, the text shifts up. I want to try and pin that down a little better. So for vertical reference level, this one here, I'm just going to adjust that, bring that down to 0. And now if I adjust the displacement, you can see it only goes downwards. It does come in to the top of the frame because we've got reflect turn on, but I'm not really bothered about that. We're only ever going to sort of come about that far. We could always turn that off if you wanted to. So that's looking pretty good. I'll just make this 0 for now. And click apply. Looking good. And there we go. So we want to animate this, okay? So we will set a keyframe, and I don't want it to melt too fast. Probably, probably about 2 seconds, maybe a bit longer. Doesn't really matter. And just have that melting down like that. That's starting to look good. So it comes on and melts. Maybe it's melting a little too soon. I just want to view my lanes. And yeah, I've got it happening from 0. So I need to bring that forward a little bit. Keyframing it here is pretty straightforward. I actually started keyframing for the first time yesterday. So if I seem a little rusty, that's why. So it types on and starts. Okay, so it's probably a little bit late now. So bring that to there. Let's view our curves. Click on displacement. And I want to ease this. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to choose smooth fade. And you can see I get that nice little S curve there. Okay, so this will start a little slower and just ease into that melt. I'll just preview that again. That's better. It starts to melt downwards. All right, so if we turn the top layer back on, solo that and take a look. That's the look we've got. Okay, so now that we have the text in place, the next thing to do is start layering up some effects. And we're going to start with BCC plus Film Glow. So I'll type in Film Glow. And what are we going to apply it to? Well, we're going to choose an adjustment event. So I'll insert that and just make that the same length, and I'll drag Film Glow onto that. Okay, so we need to change the color first. We're going to make this red. We're going to increase the intensity. We also have to make sure we can see it. Bring that right up. And I'm going to make this vertical. So I'm going to decrease the radius X. Make it more like that. That looks pretty spooky. And I like that look, but I want to give it some overall soft glow as well. So I can do that by turning on secondary glow. So enable secondary glow. And I want to change that color. So that's also got to be a red. Bring that to red. Now we've got that overall glow. And that has a separate intensity. So we could bring that up as well. And now, but this is all just getting the sort of broad strokes in place, and then we can fine tune later if we need to. So now we have this look. Maybe that's a little too high. Let's bring that down a little bit like that. And next we're going to apply BCC plus Scanline. So I'm going to do a search for scan, BCC plus Scanline, drag that down. And we're going to grab a preset for this. So I'll click on FX Editor. And I'm going to type in wide. And we want this one, wide roll noise glitch. So click on that. And we get this nice sort of rolling scan line look. They're quite tall scan lines. Almost don't look like scan lines at all. It's more the roll that we're after. But we're also getting this glitch because Scanline has glitch built in. You can see here that glitch is enabled. Now, it's a little noisy, so I'm just going to bring down the overall noise. Just knock that back a little bit to about 3, maybe. 3 is probably pretty good. All right, looking pretty good. So I'll apply that. And this has given us some, quite large, full-on glitchiness. I want to add a little bit of extra, more sort of subtle glitchiness, and I'm going to use BCC plus Video Glitch for that. So I'll type in glitch, BCC plus Video Glitch, drop that on. And for this one, once again, clicking on FX Editor. And I want to choose thin, shift, moderate. So this one here, thin, shift, moderate. So this gives us some very fine horizontal glitching, which is added to our main glitching. It may be just a little bit wide, so we can bring down the intensity just a little bit like that, right? Just a little bit of extra detail. And this is how we're looking so far. So let's keep going. Next, we're going to do a film grade look and more of a sort of TV pixel style look. Now, I don't actually have to solder these anymore. I'm going to turn those all off. We're going to create a new adjustment event. And for this, we're going to use BCC plus Film Stocks. So I'll type in stocks and drag BCC plus Film Stocks on. Click on FX Editor. The look I'm after here is Fuji Provia. So that's this one here. I've already made it a favorite. It's a pretty nice spooky look. Adds a bit of green to it. I'm going to apply that. Just leave that as it is. And next, I'm going to use one of Vegas Pro's effects. So typing in TV, I'm going to choose TV Simulator. I like the pixel look that this gives me. Sort of like an LCD pixel look. Now, I don't want interlacing, so I'm going to bring that down to 0. And I don't want scan phasing because we're going to apply another BCC plus Scanline in a moment. So I'll take scan phasing down to 0. And detail zoom is good on 1. And aperture grill, just knock that back a bit because if it's too high, we start to lose the text. I just want to give it sort of like a pixel look without overwhelming the text. something like that. Nice. All right. So now we'll do Scanline again. BCC plus Scanline. Drag that on. Now I could have put all of these effects on one adjustment event, but that gives you so many stacked up together. I'd like to break it up a little bit. And this is more of a color grade kind of thing. So I thought I'd just separate it. Okay, so Scanline, click on FX Editor. And for this, we're going to type in recorded screens, the look we want. So we'll click Apply. And this is giving us a little bit more of that sort of rolling horizontal bar look. And keep in mind, if we wanted to add an extra layer of glitch, we could come down and we could turn glitch on. That would give us even more glitch, which is probably pretty intense, right? But we could bring the glitch intensity right down. And we're sort of really layering the glitches one on top of the other. Have a bit of a play with that. I'm going to turn that off for now. Now, I want to add a couple more effects to this particular adjustment event, but first of all, I want to just add a black solid to the bottom. So, where is it? Media generator in solid color. So black, still getting used to where things are. So you can see as soon as I drop it in the bottom, we can now see our TV simulator across the whole frame. And it might even be a little bit too much now. So I'll come back up here and come back to my TV simulator and just adjust the aperture grill to knock that back. I'd like to have a little more overall glow to this. So once again, coming back to my video effects, I'll add another film glow. Drag that on. And increase the intensity. Just find a better frame. There we go. Something like that. But I want it to be a little more aqua or cyan. And something like that. Just more like this is the glow from the actual monitor itself. And now I also want to add a vignette. So I'll type in vignette, VIGN, BCC plus vignette, drag that on. And that's already helping, but I'd like to blur out these edges. So I'm just going to increase the blur amount, or the blur X, just to blur that out a little bit. Okay, so here's what we have so far. So next what I want to do is use Particle Illusion to add some falling sparks. So we'll add another adjustment event and just bring that back to 0. Stretch that out. And for this one, I'm going to apply Particle Illusion. I'm just going to type in illusion. There we go. Drag that on. Now we won't see anything just yet, so we're not going to load a preset from the FX browser. We're going to go straight into Particle Illusion by clicking on Launch PI 2026.5. So that will launch the Particle Illusion interface. And I think I've actually got this one still selected. So this is in the emitters 2026, I think, in the library for 2026. And it's Falling Sparks 03. So in the preview, it looks a little weird. Let's just apply it. So we'll just click Add. And if we take a look, it doesn't look quite right. So what we have to do is move it up to start with. Just going to roll my mouse wheel a bit. Move the emitter up out of the frame. So these are falling into the frame. Like that. And we have to come up to the View menu choose project settings. You can see they're stepped. You can see individual particles there. So let's change motion blur, which is enabled, from 4 to 32. And there we go. Click apply there. Now they're looking more like sparks, right? But there's one more thing we have to do. Just click away to deselect the nodes. And on the camera model, I'm just going to choose position. I'm not going to actually do anything with the camera, but that allows me to choose depth of field. So I'm going to enable that. And now we've got some nice depth of field as well. Now I might just change the color. I'm just going to double click on the gradient and I'm going to load a preset. I made some modifications to this. I'm just going to load the one that I created. You can have a look and see what I did. It's just here. It's almost the same. Just got a little rid of a little bit of that yellow. Just slightly adjusted to make it slightly darker orange. And click apply. And that's a really quick way to add some quite convincing looking falling sparks. And we're almost finished. What I'd like to do though, if we just come towards the end of the animation here, it basically just cuts to black. I'd like to have a little bit of extra glitchiness at the end. You can see I've got this adjustment event on this particular version. Just going to move my time indicator across. And we get a lot of glitchiness at the end there. So let's do that. So we'll add in another adjustment event and just drag it towards the end there and trim it. Going to roll in a little bit with my mouse wheel there. And I'm going to use Video Glitch again. BCC plus Video Glitch, drag that on. And you guessed it, we're going to use a preset. This one I'm going to type in the number 10 because I like combined 10 because it's really quite extreme. I would like to sort of break it up a little bit on the shift. So if we just tool open shift, we can adjust that right here. So shift amount is 0. So I want to drag that and just break that apart a little bit like that. And I do also want to make sure that it's really, really obvious. So I need to change glitch duration to 100. So we're going to see pretty much glitching on almost every frame. I'm going to apply that. If we just come towards the end there, so I've got some quite extreme glitch at the end. Just make sure we've got something on the last frame there. I'm just going to roll in a bit more and just slide that. Just to make sure we've got glitch at the very end. And there's just one more thing I want to tweak with this. Of course, I could continue tweaking forever because there's so many cool features to play with. But I just want to come down to this top Title Studio layer and just make sure I can see my grunge here. And there's various different options with grunge. You can see we've turned everything off except use texture. But I actually want to turn on flicker because I want this to flicker a bit more. Maybe if we just solo this and open up flicker. Just have a look at that. You can see how the text is flickering now. I think just adds a little bit of extra interest to that as well. All right, so I definitely could have played with this even longer, but I'm pretty happy with the final result. And this is not much different to what I would have created directly in After Effects. Go ahead and play with the effects yourself. Maybe try some of the different settings, try different Continuum effects, and make this look completely your own. You can learn more about Continuum and Vegas Pro on the Boris FX website, where you can also download a free trial. For now, this is John. See you in the next tutorial.